Hello everyone and welcome back to McCaig's Movie Mayhem in association with WBBJ 7 Eyewitness News. I am your host Eli McCaig and today I'm going to be doing the movie review for Moana 2.
Moe, I could really use your help.
Can I get a chee-hoo?
Now, Moana 2 is the newest film from Walt Disney Animation, and it is very much the sequel to the first Moana film. In fact, this was actually supposed to be a series that when they were working on the series, they were like, oh, actually, this would be better if it was a movie instead. So they just took their idea for the series and made it into a film. So this was very much the idea that they were going to do for Moana, the series, when they were going to put Moana on Disney+. So, movie, here we are. And I have to say, for the movie, I think there are a lot of moments that were very resonant with me. Like, there are a lot of the emotional beats, whether they're the sad beats or the happy beats, that really brought me to tears. Like, I remember I was sitting in the theater, and there were a lot of moments in the film, in the beginning, in the middle, and in the end, where I just felt tears running down my eyes. So that's a big positive, to be frank. And this movie very much focuses on Moana trying to bring back an island so that she can reconnect the people of the ocean. That way more people can connect with each other. And I really did enjoy this film. And my hesitancy is not me saying, how do I best word this? I did enjoy this film. I think this film did a really good job with a lot of the characters, especially with Moana, played by Auli'i, who returned to the role, and Dwayne Johnson returning as Maui. I think they both return and they're just as great as they were the first time. I think the real hindrance that people may find with this movie is when you're watching a Disney movie, you really want the songs to be memorable. And the songs, to be honest, weren't memorable to me. Like, I enjoyed them in the moment when I was watching them. However, on my drive back here, when I was trying to remember some of the songs, I couldn't remember a lot of them. I could not remember the titles of them. I couldn't even tell you how they go. Unlike Wicked from last week, I was able to recount all the songs, how they went, still having that soundtrack in my head after a week after watching it. But yeah, I think the songs could have been a little bit stronger. There were very strong songs. It's just I can't tell you how they go because there are a lot of instances in those songs that made me remember songs from the first film and not the newer song. And I think that's something that needs to be worked out with Disney at the moment. Another thing that I would look at as a negative is that there is a villain in the film, and this villain is very much a villain. They don't do what they did in Moana, the first Moana, where it's like, oh, the villain's actually the victim at the same time. It's like, no, this is a villain. This is a straight up villain. But there's also a sort of supporting antagonist who goes through a transformation where I was like, oh, I didn't expect that out of this character. Okay, well, okay, we'll see what direction we're going. And I think because of that, like the villains weren't really strong in this film. I wasn't coming out of this movie thinking, man, I can't wait to see these villains in Disneyland or in Disney World. Like, I wasn't thinking that because I don't think the villains were strong enough. And I think that's something that Disney occasionally needs to work on nowadays. I wouldn't have said that a long time ago because Disney had some of the strongest villains to ever exist. But now, like in the more recent years, I think they really need to start, if they're gonna have a villain in the film, they really need to start making that villain a lot stronger because I think their villain game is getting a bit weaker in the more recent years. And I think some of the new characters that they introduced as supporting characters, I felt like some of them felt very one note and very much like, oh, this is what they're good at and this is all they're gonna be good at. We're not gonna give them a journey. And I think that hindered some of the cast in this film. However, I wanted to get the negatives out of the way, that way I can talk about the positives, which is the animation style is beautiful. The water effects, the storm effects, I think there's so much animation-wise that this film is a beautiful film. It is so good. I love how it looks. Again, Auli'i and Dwayne Johnson returning as Moana and Maui. I think they both do fantastic jobs reprising those roles. It's like they just get right into it and they're like, oh yeah, that's why they're these characters. Also, though I may not think a lot of the songs are memorable, I think the singing of those songs is spectacular. I think that's one of the strong suits of a lot of these movies is the singing is spectacular. It makes you want to listen to those songs because you just want to hear the people singing the songs. Like, that's what's so fun about these movies on occasion. And I think one of the other things that I've really enjoyed about this film is the message of, hey, you are going down this path. You are wanting to go down this path and you're only finding it in one direction. However, there are other ways to succeed in the path that you are going down. And I really enjoy that sentiment, especially when you're teaching it to kids, and especially people who grew up with the original Moana who may be watching the sequel and may be going like, oh man, I'm supposed to be, I want to go down this path, but I don't know how to do it, and everything that I'm trying to do isn't going the way I want it to. And if they come back and watch this film as an older person, you can basically have them go, hey, it's okay if the path that you're going down right now isn't the path that is leading you to your goal. There are other paths to get to that one goal, and it's okay to divert some of your original plans. I really like that message because there are so many people that just have one mindset of, no, this is the only way I'm going down this path, when they could look at it and go, oh no, there are multiple ways to get the same result. And I think this message is very needed for people because, myself included, people can get stuck in that one mindset. And I think it's nice to present an audience in an animated film to be like, hey, it's okay to divert your path to go down a different direction. It's okay, you'll get the same results eventually. And I like that messaging. And I really think that this movie does a really good job with the story. I really do enjoy the story of the film of Moana trying to connect the people who have been trying to find other people through this, by bringing this one island back to the people. And I think that's a very noble message. And I'm very glad that this movie is existing. There is a mid-credit scene. I don't know if it's going to lead to anything, but I really did enjoy this film, and I think people are going to enjoy this film. I know I was in a theater that was packed with kids, and I was only hearing joy when I was watching the film. So I really think people should go out and watch this movie. I think families should go out and watch this movie. I highly recommend people going to watch Moana 2. So overall, I give this film a 3.5 out of 5 stars, a 7 out of 10. Next week, there is going to be another poll to determine what I'm going to be watching. And this time, instead of 2 movies, it's 3 movies you get to decide from. So you get to decide whether I get to watch the monster film Werewolves, the 2000s inspired horror film Y2K, or the reimagining of a Greek story of the Odyssey called The Return. But until then, I've been Eli McCaig, you've been the audience, and I hope you all remember to have a great rest of the day.